Welcome everyone to the Fiscal Philosophy YouTube channel. Did you miss me over the holidays? I hope you didn't miss me too much, but I am back. As ever, Medical Properties Trust remains heavily shorted, and when you look around the web for bull cases on the stock, a lot of them do hinge on this short interest and a potential squeeze happening. And I do think that that is still in play. As a lot of you know from some of my previous videos, there have been two private investors that have each taken stakes in the company that are over 5%, and some other stuff that I'll get into a little bit later has also happened. One particular event comes to mind. So to start the year off, MPW has kind of done the what we'll call the classic MPW pump and dump, meaning it ran up a little bit and then bled off all of those gains and then some. So January is so far proving to be a pretty volatile little start to the year for MPW, though the year and the month are both still fairly young, and we'll see how things pan out. A lot of times lately, it seems like these sell-offs correlate with a jump in the 10-year Treasury yield. That's because if the 10-year yield is higher, that maybe indicates some unpleasant projections about economic conditions over a certain period of time, possibly higher inflation and that kind of thing. But I think with yield stocks like REITs, it's also because the difference in yield between something like this and the Treasury bond is less than at that point, right? So with the bond, you get basically a yield that's closer, but for a lot less risk, because when you buy like a REIT or any other kind of dividend paying stock, you do get yield for it, but that yield also comes with more risk than buying US Treasuries, which are considered to be sort of the risk-free return. So the implication is that you need a premium in order to justify taking the risk of buying common stock instead of buying just treasuries, basically. And because of that, I think anytime you have bond yields, specifically US Treasuries, go up, it tends to possibly hurt the share price of stocks that people buy for yield for those reasons. I'll also say that this is one of the stocks where I don't think analysts really even care that much about it in order to do the necessary analysis to come up with reasonable price targets. It seems like the price targets are always just kind of an indicator of what the stock has recently traded at, what the recent highs and recent lows have been. So a lot of the analysts have $4 price targets because it's kind of been in that $4 range a lot lately. And then the highs have been around $6.50, so the high price target that they have is $6.50 because that's like a 52-week high, so maybe it'll be back there in another year, in another 52 weeks. I think that that's kind of a silly way to look at it, and I think these are likely to be wildly wrong. The stock being as heavily shorted as it is, for example, and as potentially heavily undervalued as it is, it could be that it greatly exceeds that high if certain events take place. Or, hey, if the short sellers ended up being right, well, 0 is a lot lower than 4, isn't it? So either way, I think the analysts are just kind of playing it safe and shooting for the middle in a lot of cases on this. And if you listen to their earnings calls, they seem very apathetic and not really digging deep with any of their questions or anything. So honestly, I hate the analyst coverage on this stock. I've always kind of viewed it as a bit of a joke, but especially in the last earnings call, the apathy was off the charts, and it was honestly a disgrace to the whole industry, to be honest with you. Before I get into this last little development that came up between my last MPW video and now, which a lot of you have probably already heard of this, but I'll get into it in a second. But I wanted to just remind you guys that I do have a partnership with Moomoo where you can get 15 free stocks for signing up and depositing $1,000. They have bonus APY, a lot of trading indicators. It's a very cool platform. If you're into trading and you like to customize your charts and your indicators and everything, they have a lot of those tools available for you. And honestly, they don't charge a fee every month like a Robinhood Gold or anything like that. So you get a lot of benefits and it doesn't cost you anything. And if you sign up and make a deposit with my exclusive link in the description below, it helps the channel and you get all the benefits that I have mentioned above. Now, this is one last thing that came up on MPW that I think is interesting, and I'll share that momentarily. So this is a bit of news that you guys have probably heard about at this point if you follow this stock closely and watch for press releases and everything. But there's some other stuff relating to it that I'd like to talk about a little bit. So they settled the lawsuit, the defamation suit with Viceroy Research. They reached an agreement in the middle of December, and they agreed to mutually settle and dismiss the suit, and they agreed to keep the terms of the settlement confidential. So Viceroy is one of the firms, along with Hedgeye, that were pushing a lot of negative narrative stuff about MPW. Basically, anything that happened, whether it was good or bad, would be interpreted in the worst possible way, pushed on Twitter and other social media, Yahoo message boards, even the comments of my own videos. They would sometimes go in there and say things, which just goes to show you how dedicated they were to their grind. Now, they accused MPW's management of being frauds. MPW management took umbrage to those claims of fraud and filed suit. And as the case was set to come to trial, they suddenly settled. Now, on my Discord, what we believe is, or what some of the more educated guesses on there have been, were that the purpose of the lawsuit wasn't money, because Viceroy Research likely is not an asset-rich thing. It's an LLC, probably set up as a partnership. Any revenue they get is probably just distributed to its members. It's just kind of, it exists basically just to shield the members individually from liability. Even though they were mentioned in the lawsuit, it would probably be challenging to pierce that veil and also get after them, because at least one of the members is a citizen of a different country, and extracting any actual money from them probably wouldn't really make a dent for MPW, considering how much money is on the line with MPW's share price dropping versus what Viceroy probably got. So what was the purpose of the lawsuit? One, maybe just to send a message that if you if you say outrageous accusations towards MPW's management, that they're not going to just sit there and take it without striking back, which is good. The other, I think, and this is what came up on Discord, is there may have been some type of a disgruntled employee or something on the inside who was possibly, or maybe somebody that was getting paid to furnish information, perhaps. But there was some source of information going to Viceroy that would give them enough to basically spin certain things and have it sound really legitimate, because they would know about certain things before they would happen and that kind of stuff, which would give more credibility to their story. And during the discovery process, various records were subpoenaed and so forth. And it's possible that MPW just wanted to discover the source of that information and that leak so they could plug it. Now, another thing is that I think part of the terms of this settlement were likely that Viceroy has to stop basically publicly throwing shade at MPW. And they have been quite quiet as far as making new posts against MPW. It seems that they've mostly moved on to ABR, Arbor Realty Trust, I believe is the name of it's this other REIT that they've started going after. And I've noticed not really a lot coming out of them about MPW recently. And I'm guessing that was one of the conditions of the settlement. So yeah, they probably just aren't allowed to talk about MPW anymore. So I guess that's possibly a win for management, to have the negative spin stop from at least one corner. And also, if there was a leak, figuring out where it was and being able to deal with it quietly. I wish we could know what the exact conditions of the settlement were, but chances are we will never know. That's about all I got for you for now. If you made it to the end, I'd like to remind you to like the video for the algorithm, subscribe, and help me grow my audience to new heights. Also, consider supporting the channel to become a member. Join the Discord linked in the description for a lively discussion on stocks. Catch me every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Cash Flow Kings Live. And also, don't forget to follow me on X at Mr. Macho Mog. I really could use the support on there as well. Once again, I appreciate you all and hope you had a wonderful and safe holiday season. Take it easy, everyone.